Hi, hybrid class. So this week's homework, there's no quiz on Tuesday, but this week's homework piece is trying to get us up to speed on our same page learning initiative. It's also at the end a time to evaluate whether this is something that we're going to continue, where our goal was to take this to Thanksgiving time and then to hear from the students if this is something that we want to continue. So in the email where that has this video link, you'll also see a link to a Google Doc where I'd love you to kind of just put in your anonymous thoughts of, is this something to continue with? So since we haven't done this in a while, I'll just kind of go very quickly through what we do know. So a woman was pregnant, she gave birth to a son, she saw him that he was good, and she hid him for 3 moons. Then we go to um, and she wasn't able to hide him anymore. She took him for an ark. She took for him an ark of reed, and she waterproofed it. And with waterproofing material and with tar, she placed the boy in it, and she placed it in the reeds on the bank of the river. Next verse. And his sister was standing at a distance in order to know what happened to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh went down to wash on by the river, and her women attendants were walking by beside the river. She saw the ark among the reeds and sent out her Amah, either maidservant or hand, and she took the basket. And she opened, and she saw that the boy, saw him, the boy, and behold, the boy was crying, and she had compassion on him. She said, "This is one of the Hebrew children." And his sister and the daughter, I said to the daughter of Pharaoh, "Should I go and call and should will I call for you a woman, a nursemaid from the Hebrews, so that she can nurse for you the boy?" And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Go." And the young girl went, and she called for the mother of the child. And the daughter of Pharaoh said to her, "Go with the boy, feed him for me, and I will give you wages." And the woman took the boy, and she fed him. That's his actual mother. And I pretty much I think this is the verse we are up to. Vayigdal hayelad vativiehu levat paro vayihila leven vatikra shemo Moshe vatomer kimin hamayim mishitihu. All right, so let's kind of go through the meaning of this as well. So we've got Vayigdal, and the boy grew up, and and she, meaning Yocheved, or she brought him to the daughter of Pharaoh, and he became for her like as a son, and she called his name Moshe, and she said, because from the water Mishituhu I drew him out. Okay. By the way, just an interesting point that Richard Elliott Friedman says, most people, if you ask them to tell the story of Exodus is that Pharaoh's daughter finds this baby, she names him Moshe right then, and then she finds someone to kind of give him milk for until he is weaned, and then she comes back. But actually, we learn that actually Moshe here was for a long time not called Moshe. Only now is he called Moshe for the first time. But maybe I'm giving away one of the questions. Oh no, sorry about that. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so getting curious, what questions do you have about this verse? Give me 3 answers to those questions. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Remember, these answers are all going to be emailed to me. So please do that. Give me 3 answers. Questions number 1, 2, and 3. 3 things that you might have a problem with. 3 questions that come from this verse. Okay, and now let's go to, were any of these your questions? We have, right, wait a second. When was Moshe named Moshe, and when was he not? Moshe spent all that time with the mom before he was named Moshe. Then what is his name? Good question. If Moses is named in Egypt by an Egyptian princess, then the name Moshe must be an Egyptian name, but the Torah is explaining this name as if it is Hebrew. All right, it is a Hebrew name, and as if Pharaoh's daughter knows Hebrew. Can that be true? Is that one of your questions? According to the rule of grammar, she should have called him Mashui. How does she get the name Moshe? How is it that Pharaoh is going to allow this official adoption to happen? Why emphasize the boy's growing? Of course, the boy grows when he is getting milk and nourishment. So my question to number 4 is, if any of the questions that you had of the 3 are of this list, we'll call this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which one was it? And that's question number 4. Question number 5 is give me one of these questions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and give us an answer to one of those questions. That's question number 5. And let's go to our next piece. So here are some of the Meforshim's answer to some of the famous. Here are some of the famous Meforshim's answering one of the questions. Please, please pick one of these 5 and read the answer to it, and go ahead and either tell me what the person says, the name of the person, tell me, the question and answer, and give me a sentence or two kind of evaluation, what you think of that answer. That is question number 7. And then my final question is, any nafkamina, any kind of like from reading this verse and from reading, one of the comments, anything that we can any kind of takeaway from this piece of Torah that we can get. All right, let's move on to the next verse. Okay, so of course we learned in the last verse you saw this idea of Vayigdal Hayeled, right? The boy grew, and she brought him to the daughter of Pharaoh. Okay, and now we have a new verse. And it came to pass by Yamim in those days, Vayigdal, that Moshe grew up. So now he's in kind of Pharaoh's palace, and he went out to his brothers, and he saw their suffering, and he saw an Egyptian man hitting a Hebrew man from his brothers. Okay, give me 3. This feels really chock full of questions. Please give me 3 answers to 3 questions that you might have come up with about this verse. So we're calling that question 8, 9, and 10. Okay. Okay, and now let's look at the questions that I have here. Were any of these your questions? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Were any of those your questions? We're calling that question number 11. So, and let's look at some of the answers that are given by the Meforshim. Right? Why would the Torah tell us twice that Moshe grew? Isn't one time enough? The Torah is talking about spiritual growth and physical growth. Malbim answers, why does the Torah tell us that the Egyptian man who is beating the Hebrew, isn't it obvious people beating the Israelites are Egypt? The Torah makes a point to tell us that Moshe sees the Egyptian as an Egyptian, and the Israelite as a brother, to let us know Moshe never integrated into Egyptian society. He grew up out of place without connection to the people in Egypt. And so this is the first moment of connection. Or Chaim answers the question, why does the Torah say Moshe went out to his brothers? When did Moshe learn that these Israelite slaves were his brothers? What's the significance of these words? Of course, everyone outside the palace were Jews, but the Torah is differentiating between good Israelites and bad Israelites. And if you don't believe this, just remember that during the plague of darkness, God kills 80% of the Israelites. Oh my goodness. And the Rambam adds that Moshe has seen these people forever and it has never bothered him. But once he realizes he's connected to them, he can't bear to see it anymore. Okay, Malbim answers the question, of all the things that the son of a ruler can do, why is the Torah telling us that Moses went out to his brothers? The Torah here is trying to show us the character of Moshe, who goes against the normal human tendency to avoid poor and suffering people. Moses is the opposite and makes them a priority. So that's Moses' job. He's always curious about these people. What are they doing? Why are they suffering? Even when he's in this position. What's the significance of this Egyptian beating a Hebrew man? This man is being beaten not because he's lazy and not because he's not doing his required work. He's being hit for only one reason, because he is Jewish. So give me, of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, tell me the answer that seems most interesting to you. Tell me who wrote it, tell me the answer, and kind of give me a response. That's question number 12. And then from the question that you just really talked about, is there kind of a moral message from that, kind of from your analysis? That's question number 13. Moral message, or nafgamina. Okay, great. So now we're on the next pasuk, which is Moses looked here and there, and he saw that there was no no man around, and he hit the Egyptian, and he hit the Egyptian so much so that I guess he dies, and he buried him, the Egyptian, in the sand. Okay, give me 3 questions that you have about this: 14, 15, and 16. Um, and were any of these questions your questions? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Calling that question 17. Were any of them your questions? Um, and let's look at some of them for Shim's famous answers. What does the Torah mean when it says, "And Moshe saw there was no man, no ish"? What did Moshe see? Moshe looked into the future and saw that no one good would ever be born from this Egyptian, and no one from his family would ever convert to become Jewish. This gave him more of an okay to kill this man. Wait a second. Is Moshe guilty of murder here? Rashi answers, who was this Egyptian? He was a man who had fallen in love with a married Israelite woman. He snuck into her house and, pretending he was her husband, made her pregnant. The husband found out about this, and the husband knew that he had found out about it. So the Egyptian was now trying to kill the husband. Moshe knew all of this and felt like the Torah says that such a person is guilty and should be put to death. The Haktav, the HaKabbalah answers the question, what does the Torah mean when it says there was no man? Aren't the Egyptians and the Israelite man men? What is the Torah getting at when it says there was no man? Moses looked for a person who would stand up for the Israelites. Moses is hoping that a courageous person is nearby. When Moshe realizes there is no man of courage nearby, there are men, but there is no man, right? Moses decides that he must be that person. Rabbeinu Bachya answers the question, of course Moses buried the dead person in the sand. This is Egypt. What else would he be using to bury someone in? There's no need to mention the sand at all. Sand is significant as a metaphor, since the Jewish people are described as a group who will become greater than the sand in the sea. So the greater than the sand in the sea is burying this person. Ha'emek Davar answers the question, what does the Torah mean when it says there was no man? Oh, man. The Torah was trying to teach us here what the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot tells us, that in a place where there is no ish, you must try to be that ish. So pick one of these, give me the question, give me the answer, and show its significance. That's question 8. That's 18. And also on 19, of the one you just analyzed, tell us what the nafkamina or moral message might be of that. All right, we're moving to the next verse. Okay. And I think this is the final verse of today. Vayetze bayom hasheni v'hinei, new pen color. Vayetze bayom hasheni v'hinei shnei anashim ivrim nitzim vayomer l'rasha lama takeh re'echa vayomer mi samcha le'ish sar v'shofet aleinu ha lehargeni Ata Omer kasher harakta et hamitzri vayira Moshe vayomar achen noda hadavar. And Moses goes out on the next day, Bayom HaSheni, and behold, now there are two people fighting, but they're not. It's not Egyptian against Hebrew, but two Israelite people fighting. And he says to the wicked one of the two, "Why are you going to hit your friend or neighbor, friend, right?" And that guy, who he's calling the evil guy, says, Misamcha, who is placing you as a man, Leish, as a sar v'shofet, as a ruler and judge over us? Ha lehargeni, Are you also going to kill me? By the way, look at this. This is the ha that goes before a verb to make it into a question. We saw that in the Talmud piece. Ha lehargeni ata, saying, are you going to kill me? Saying, like you killed that Egyptian. Moshe, Vayira Moshe, and Moshe was afraid, and he said, behold, surely the matter of what I did is now known, or is known. Okay, so question 20, 21, and 22 give me three questions that you're coming up with from what was just from this pasuk itself. And you'll notice there are some interesting things going on in this pasuk. If you read the English again, there's some like words, and you're kind of like, why are those words actually there? Okay, so here are some questions. Were any of these yours? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6? That's question number 23. And let's look at some of these answers. Rashi answers, how is it that we're calling someone evil when they have not yet done anything wrong? Right? All right. So he's saying they're called, Moses says it's the evil one. Why? It's not why are you, but why will you hit your friend? Right? And Rashi answers, the intention to hurt and strike someone is the same as actually striking someone. Like intent is almost as if doing. Rashi says, what's the strange word saying doing in the middle of the sentence, will you kill me? So let's just look at that, right? It says, the evil one said, who are you, a man, ruler and judge over us? Will you kill me, saying, like you killed that Egyptian? What is that saying? And Rashi says, the word saying teaches us, the teacher teaches us that Moses killed the Egyptian by saying or talking. What did Moses say? He said the four-letter name of God, Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, and that killed the Egyptian. Chizkuni answers the question, what are those words, a man, added to the reply of the man he calls wicked? Wouldn't it make more sense for him to have just said, who made you ruler and judge, right? Who made you, a man, ruler and judge over us? And Chizkuni says, this is a reference made to Moses' age, meaning something like this. You are also way too young to be a man, which means you are also way too young to be a ruler or a judge over us. And then the last one, it says Moses is afraid, right? Why is Moses afraid? He shouldn't be afraid. He's the son of Pharaoh. He has so much power. He killed an Egyptian officer, but he shouldn't be but he shouldn't be afraid. If that is so, why is he actually afraid? And Rashi says, Moses is not afraid that he'll get in trouble. Moses is afraid about the gossip or Lashon Hara of the Israelites. How could it be that just one day after he had killed this Egyptian, all the Israelites knew about it? It must be that they loved to gossip. Moses was fearful that this love of gossip would prevent them from being given the gift of leaving Egypt once and for all. So your question number 24 is, find one of these questions and answers that you like. Tell me the question, tell me the person who says it, tell me the answer, analyze that. And question number 5 is, of that question you just answered and analyzed, please give me what the nafkamina, please give me some kind of sense of what the moral message is. And instead of going to that sheet, question number 26 is, I'd rather you do it anonymously. So now your last task is to go to the Google Doc that I set up, and please write in that Google Doc your kind of opinion of, is this something we should continue, or actually no, this is something we should not continue. Yeah, that's it. All right. Thanks so much. Bye.